got to camp and told my teammates, guys, I nearly died today, they were like, oh, really? Like, sorry, we're playing Monopoly.
As one of the youngest British women to climb Mount Everest, what inspired you to embark on the adventure?
So I was at university at the time. I'd never climbed a mountain, and I went to a lecture about Everest and listened to this incredible speech. And when I heard the two climbers that were giving the speech say that when they reached the top of Everest, they looked down and they could see the curvature of the earth beneath them, I just knew in that moment that I had to see that for my own eyes, and that was where it started.
As an explorer, can you describe a time where you experienced danger?
Yes, I can. Which one do you want? So when you're a climber, there's this inherent risk. I wish I did a sport sometimes where I could turn up and give my all, and I wouldn't be having that question in the back of my mind, is this going to be the last climb? Is this going to be the one that kills me? So climbing is unique in that way. Sometimes it's rock climbing, and you know that if you slip off a cliff, you might break your legs. And in those moments, I tend to say to myself, well, if you break your legs, it will be a good story, which I know is a really stupid thing to say. But the truth is that I know that I'm unlikely to actually fall and break my legs. So I've just got to go for it. It's a way of calming myself down and accepting that whatever happens, I'm going to commit to it. And then in the mountains, I have also, probably the most dangerous things in the mountains are the avalanches. And we've been really up close to some of them, where you've been in a tent, and actually I remember launching myself to the other side of the tent because I heard this boom behind me and an avalanche was coming down, but it did pass us. But in terms of real danger, I did fall down a crevasse once, and I was completely on my own. This was on Lhotse, and I managed to climb out by myself. It's definitely the closest I've ever come to falling to my death. But by the time I got to camp and told my teammates, guys, I nearly died today, they were like, oh, really? Like, sorry, we're playing Monopoly. So tell us later. You know, it just wasn't a big deal. It put it in perspective.
How do you motivate yourself when faced with failure?
There are hundreds of different ways that I motivate myself. But I think the most important thing I try and remember is, do I need a big picture motivation right now, or do I need a small motivation? Because sometimes the big picture, the dream, you know, what the future might hold if I commit to this, that's so exciting that it just gets you through. But sometimes that big picture can be so overwhelming. You just think, I can't do this anymore. I've been working so hard. There's still so much to do. And in those moments, just being able to focus on something really small and forget about the big picture is really important. So often I just ask myself that question, what do I need to focus on right now? But then there's other things. As human beings, we are incredibly driven by our emotions. And one of the things that inspires me the most is just getting on the right song, and like that can instantly connect you to a feeling. And it's often feelings that motivate us more than anything else. So it's really working out what triggers motivation in you, and then having that bank of different things to go back to.
Can you describe a time where you faced hardship, and how did you overcome the challenge?
I've been very lucky in my life. I would say I haven't faced any, hardship compared to some people. But when I was a teenager, I did suffer greatly with my mental health, and I had quite a terrible eating disorder. And it actually really taught me an important lesson that eventually got me to the top of the world, because at the time I was really at rock bottom. I didn't see how I could make it through each day. I was that consumed with this disease in my mind, basically. And what got me out of that hole was saying to myself, right, I'm just going to go for a run. And I went for this run, and I managed to go for about 42 seconds. And it was the most empowering thing I'd ever done, because it was like taking back control when I thought there was no control to have left. From there, it made me understand the power of small actions and small steps. And the next day I ran for a minute, and then it was 5 minutes, and then it was 5K, 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, and then it was Everest. So, you know, it's just about knowing that the small things that we do can have these great rippling effects through our lives. And learning that lesson when I was 17, out of my lowest moments, and hardship, as you say, has actually probably been the most important thing that's ever happened to me.
What are your top tips for setting and achieving your goals?
So my first tip, have a really clear vision. Make it emotional. For me, when I thought about Everest and I dreamt about getting to the top and seeing the curvature of the earth, it would actually make me cry. It meant that much to me. And when you've got a vision that is that emotional and means that much, when you're in those low moments, you think, why am I doing this? You get really beaten down. The answer is in here. You're like, this is why. It's what I'm coming back to. And it's so easy to forget the big picture, forget why we started, when the small things along a journey can beat us down, and, you know, we lose sight of why we started in the first place. So that would be my first tip. My second is the complete opposite. It's, you've got your big picture, but you do have to trust the process, which is, it's all about small steps. And some of those steps will be forward and some of them will be backwards, but it's the process that matters. Every single little block, every stepping stone that you're taking stacks up, and hopefully eventually it will lead to, you know, the top of a mountain or whatever it is the goal is. But it's really about that tension, that marriage between the big picture and knowing that the moment in front of you is all you have.